Good evening. We welcome and appreciate your presence at this meeting of the Ben Harbor Area School Board of Education. The school board desires orderly meetings so that it can complete its important business. We respectfully request that you turn your cell phones on vibrate, refrain from clapping, cheering, etc., or making audible comments. The school board also encourages public participation and will be attentive to your concerns and opinions. Any materials that any individual wishes to distribute to the board should be given to the board secretary before the meeting. This meeting is called to order at 6:03. As a reminder, it should be the duty of each board member to conduct themselves in a professional manner, to avoid making unnecessary noise, and to refrain from private conversations. The public should be held to the same standards of conduct. This meeting is conducted in accordance with Robert's Rule of Order, Parliamentary Procedure. Would everyone rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Mitchell, would you call the roll?
President Taylor.
Present.
Present. Lisa Boyd. Absent. Marletta Seats.
Present.
Angela McDonald.
Present.
Martha Mine.
Present.
Margaret Gabb.
Present.
We have a quorum. May I have a motion for the approval of tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Moved by trustee Gass. May I have a support? Supported by trustee Martha Momini. Questions, comments, concerns regarding tonight's agenda? Mr. Mitchell?
Ms. Gass.
Yes.
Ms. Monahan.
Yes.
Ms. McDonald.
Yes.
Ms. Seats.
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell. Yes. Mr. Taylor.
Yes. At this time, we need to appoint board secretary. The law gives us 30 days, so is there a motion on the floor for appointment?
President Taylor, I'd like to make a motion that Ms. Marletta Seats be appointed secretary.
You guys can support, or we can just vote.
I don't think nominations, but you have to take a support rate.
You don't have to.
Okay.
So. Mr. Mitchell, call the roll.
Ms. Seats.
And you gotta say yes.
Yes.
Ms. McGowan.
Yes.
Ms. Momini.
Yes.
Ms. Gass.
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell. Yes. Mr. Taylor.
Yes. Mr. Mitchell, you can exchange paperwork now with Secretary Seats. And we thank you so much. At this time, we'll have, may I have a motion for the approval of the minutes from August 8th, regular meeting, August 8th, closed session, August 8th, special session, August 23rd, special session, August 28th, special session, and September 5th, work session.
President Taylor, I make a motion that the aforementioned minutes be approved.
Motion by Vice President Mitchell. May I have support?
Support.
Supported by Trustee Gass. Any questions, comments, or concerns regarding the aforementioned dates? All right, Ms. Seats.
Joseph Taylor,
Yes.
Stephen Mitchell,
Yes.
Marlette Seach, yes. Angelica McGowan,
Yes.
Martha Momney,
Yes.
Margaret Gass.
Yes.
At this time, this is the portion of the meeting for public comment. This is the portion of the meeting during which participation of the public is invited and shall be limited to 30 minutes. Yes, ma'am.
We have one more meeting that we need to.
Is it on?
It is, it's on here, it's our closed session meeting minute.
So we
August
just-
8, 2017.
Yeah, for a second.
We approved it. That was on there. Yeah, it was all.
It was listed, wasn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, public participation, please state your name, address. You have 3 minutes.
Marvin Haywood, 270 May Street, Benton Harbor, Michigan. Good evening to all of the board members.
Good evening.
I came on behalf of the children here in the city of Benton Harbor, based on the fact that we have entered into an agreement that gives us a 3-year time span to turn the school system around. And within this 3-year period, after the first 18 months, it's supposed to be brought up 10%. Due to the discriminatory actions that have been levied against the city of Benton Harbor, through a study that was done by Ms. Linda Todman and Elaine Quintana, who is a psychologist in social justice. They said in our state that the trauma that has been imposed on these children, we know that historical trauma, it has a negative effect on problem-solving perception, the ability to plan, cope with emotions, and constructively learn. So I know that we had to enter into agreement. I don't see how this could be achieved without allowing everybody to come in and volunteer within the school system, from retired teachers to individuals that want to help bring the school system up. Dr. Walker had made a statement, and I quote, she said, "We need to be rowing in the same directions with the same purpose, towards the same goal, with the same understanding, with input from everyone as to what the most effective way to get the school district moving forward." And I think one of the most effective ways is getting the parents involved, getting church leaders involved, and allowing people access to the schools so that we can properly monitor the children, have people around the children that they're familiar with. We've had a lot of, it was spoken on that there has been a lot of structural as well as behavior issues that was brought, and they don't see reaching the objective in which they were set out to reach, which in a 3-year period is going to be impossible. Nearly impossible to reach this objective based on the things that have been levied against the kids over the past 20 years. This didn't just start overnight. 20 years ago, they talked about world-class communities. And one thing that I told Mr. Whitmore, that in order to have a world-class community, you must give the kids a world-class education. At that time, they began to take out the skills center, the tech center, and basically dismantle everything from an educational standpoint relating to the students in Benton Harbor, Michigan. Yet two miles away, you have schools that are functioning, up and running, very productive. They have had brand new buildings put up and all of these things which make learning a more favorable environment. However, over the course of the 10-year period, the school system went from $1 million to a $15 million deficit. And throughout the course of this period, there has been many superintendents that have been brought in, and this is just my opinion, with the intent to deceive and not achieve what is expected of a superintendent, as well as those who have been appointed to lead our children. And I think that over the course of time, even about probably, I think it was maybe a few months ago, that I spoke on the $2 million that was equated to hire an outsourced agency to come in and monitor our children. We have police officers or people in uniform watching kids. It's an adverse effect on the mind, except for having.
3 minutes are up.
Oh, I thought you said 30 minutes.
No, it's 30 minutes for the entire
Oh, for the
public
entire,
participation.
oh, everybody can present their case? Okay, well, listen, let me finish with just this
No,
thought.
we don't have 3 minutes.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Anyone else for public participation?
Good evening, Melissa Clapper, CLAPPER, 188 James Way, Benton Harbor. Good evening. Just a couple of things I would like to bring up, and I know you can't comment on them, but maybe something you can think about. Agree with everything the gentleman before just said, but mine seems kind of pale in comparison to what he was talking about. But first of all, just on the agenda, like public comments, doing a lot of different meetings lately, and public comments are an essential part of the meeting, but when at the beginning of the meeting, and you have a whole agenda afterwards to talk about, and you have questions about something that's on that agenda that you discussed, makes it difficult to ask questions or comment or, raise concerns. So thinking maybe you could, maybe talk about where there might be another place on the agenda that could allow the public to clarify, ask, or raise concerns. Same thing on the agenda. Realize some things on the agenda are very they're right there, you understand what they mean, but there are other things that I wouldn't know what questions to ask, and without going into a lot of explanation, and you're going to talk about it, but it doesn't always do it. For example, the district initiative updates, I'm looking at, what's Girls and Pearls? Is that something you're going to be talking about tonight and voting on, or is it something, I attend a fair amount of the school board meetings, but have missed the last couple of ones. VIP club, what's PBIS? So maybe, I don't know. I know you can't go forever on the board minutes, but it's something that's impacting children. I was taught for 26 years in Berrien Springs, and I know the importance of all of this. And then last, reading in the paper about the scores, and again, being a teacher and how scores can make you insane, because it doesn't tell you everything there is to tell you about what staff has done, teachers have done, support staff, everybody, administration, children. The one thing I didn't understand in the paper was and I know we have changed the test a number of times in the last years, and that there was a lot of emphasis because now they've attached teachers' salaries, administrator salary to test results and things that are happening and all that. And I know one that was really talked about was you have to give everybody some way to level the base, to know what the base is. So if we've changed the test here, and then the next year we have a new test, can't really compare this year's to last year's because it's not, even though you might have section A, it doesn't. So in the paper, it didn't really say, and I know they've talked about changing it again, what we're really comparing to. Obviously, you can tell if kids are in need, which doesn't really tell the whole picture, but it's what people that don't work in schools want to do. But I wasn't really sure what the basis was for the comparison of the scores. So I don't know if that can be addressed at a later time, and maybe that's something that might be something you have just a meeting about, so that the parents and the public understand what this tests are and how new is the test, how old is the test, what things are we testing, how are we prioritizing what we need to do. So appreciate your time.
And the agendas, we talk about those during the work sessions.
I know
right?
I
And
missed
so
the work
those are-
session.
But,
Okay.
and then also the agendas are out before these meetings.
Well, I know,
right?
but it's like on this one, I missed last week because, I
Right.
missed last week. So,
Right.
yeah, so the Girls and Pearls things you talked about last week.
No, that was, certain items get put on the agenda,
Okay.
right, in order to make sure.
Well, like I said,
that
if there was something, then the public comments was at a different part in the agenda, then that would allow me, if I had questions about what was on the agenda, to ask questions about. things.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Any other comments from the public?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Emma Kennard. I'm the director of Fresh Start Children's Garden, and I live at 270 East May Street here in Benton Harbor, Michigan. And I'm appealing to all the parents, I will be personally going and knocking on every door. This is from the Fresh Start Children's Garden that we are appealing to all of the parents to take greater participation in what is going on in our schools. We want transparency. And this year, I've already been alerted that the children so far is not coming home with homework. And that's one of the most important things, that they have constructive homework. I know that there should have been a lot of updating and things put in place to bring our children up to where they should be in this 18-month period. We cannot delay, we cannot play with our children because they are the future. And we're asking every parent, and I promise you that I will be knocking at every door that will open for me to make sure that these parents take a great participation. But I want you all to allow a lot of the retired teachers, which have told me that they have offered their assistants to come in and help, and it's been turned down. And I know that I have asked myself is to participate in helping to get the children trained and ready, because I worked as a parent for 26 years, and I got to run around. When I run around, I'm right back at the same place I started. So there's got to be some work done on your part. And as many of you that has been here for quite a few years, and I hear a lot of meetings going on, but then the school is still going downhill. So with all these meetings, it's just to put us to sleep, because sometimes you get pretty sleepy at the long meetings that you have. So we're looking for these meetings to produce something positive and having our children up to date on the in the 18th month period. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Walker's going to speak about the volunteers.
So just so the community knows, we do welcome volunteers. So when you come to the district office, there's a form that you fill out for our board policies that require background checks and things of those natures to occur. The person who presents themselves as a volunteer indicates an area that they choose to volunteer, and Ms. Nichols is our volunteer coordinator, and we absolutely do our best to get people involved. So if you propose to volunteer and you've been through that process and you have not called, I would ask that you directly contact me, because we do encourage volunteers, and we have many volunteers that have participated in our school last year. So that just means there's a disconnect, and I can't address it until I see who's not getting an opportunity. So that is the process, and once that's been done, again, if you still have not been placed or given an opportunity to participate, please contact me directly. And you can email me at shelley.walker@bhas.org. You can come to the district office and you can leave me a note, you can send me a letter in the mail. And I'll be more than happy to follow up with you, because we do believe in volunteers, we do want volunteers, and we need volunteers. And last year, we actually had many retired teachers come in, and we actually paid them to volunteer. So again, I'm not sure where the disconnect is, but we need to address that if it is. So thank you.
Anyone else for public participation? All right, Mrs. CA.
Good evening, President Taylor, Board of Trustees, and the District Administration. We have 3 groups that were funded by the Public Safety Gang Prevention Grant, and they're going to be here to just give a brief presentation and give you the opportunity to ask them some questions. So I will just let them come up in the order that's listed on the program, and we will start with Mrs. Wells.
Good evening. I am Trina Wells. I am a certified life coach. Can I be seated? Should I stand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I had an opportunity to work with some outstanding young ladies this past school year. And basically, the Girls and Pros program is an empowerment tool program to empower our girls in various areas. We focus on self-esteem, self-image, developing a positive attitude, removing limitations, their confidence. We talk about maximizing your potential. And what I love most, we talk about setting a vision for your life. The girls had an awesome time putting together vision boards, taking their dreams and goals that they had set for themselves and putting them on a goal board so they can get a clear vision for their lives. Majority of the young women that I had an opportunity to work with have a goal or a vision to go to college. And so we set up a plan for them. I tried to empower them as much as I possibly could to help them reach their goals. I think a lot of times we talk about goal setting, but we don't give people the step-by-step plan. So the Girls and Pearls program is not just all about pearls and pink, but it's also about empowerment, really empowering our girls so when they go out into the real world, they have confidence. And confidence is so important. As you can see, I'm a little nervous tonight. I did not know that I would be in front of all of you. However, it was just an awesome opportunity to be able to share my story, being involved in our community and where I come from. So I have such a relationship that I have learned to develop with the girls in the city of Benton Harbor, with our church being in the city as well. So I have a few ladies here that would like to talk about how it improved their life and how they're excited to be a part of it this coming school year, if you all allow us to move forward. So I'm going to ask Tamina Clay to come. Can you give her a hand?
Hello, good evening, everyone. The Girls and Pearls program was a great experience for me. I actually started pretty late. I started kind of like a little ways after they started, but I really enjoyed the program. In the program, I learned like how to be more humble in myself and learning myself and learning how myself works. And it really helped me and empowered me to like never give up, to keep moving forward. And again, with the vision boards. The vision board was awesome. I have it at home. I have it in my room, and every day when I wake up, it's sitting right in front of me. And I love seeing all of my plans, all of the things that I want to do in the future is right in front of me. And it's a clear picture on what I need to do and how I need to do it to get where I want to go. So thank you.
Thank you. We also have Ashanti Tisdale. I like to say when she first joined the program, she did not speak at all. She would not talk, she would not open up. But towards the last 3 weeks of the program, she really evolved. And we were so excited about her because she had an opportunity to be selected for one of the upper bound students. And she was so excited. She shared her vision, her goals with us. And it's just a beautiful thing to see her develop into the woman that she is today. So she's going to share as well.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening.
My name is Ashanti Tisdale. I attend Benton Harbor High School. My favorite thing about Girls and Pearls is creating a vision board. My vision is to graduate from college and become a nurse. I enjoy the Girls and Pearls. Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Any questions from the board? Ms. Seats?
What was your total number of participants? I'm sorry.
We had a total of 12.
You had 12,
Yes.
and for the whole session, you had 12. I noticed you said that one came in late.
Well, we started off with actually 15 girls.
Okay.
And we did have a ceremony towards the end. So actually at the graduation, we had 10 girls that actually graduated from the Girls and Pearls program.
Okay. Is the rest of your staff certified also?
Yes, they are.
As well.
So I have a question, ma'am.
Yes.
So I know we started out at the high school as well, I think it was, right? But we went down, did we go down to the 7th and 8th grade?
We did. We wanted to do 2 programs. Unfortunately, we didn't get enough girls signed up at the high school level. So we just stayed with the ACA program.
Is there a vision this year to try to go to that high school level?
I would love to. That's my desire because I think girls at that level still deal with social struggles and self-esteem and empowerment issues. So I think it would be a great asset if we empower the high school students if they show interest.
Secretary Seats?
Yes, thank you. You have curriculum down. What curriculum do you use? for the young ladies?
Well, actually, I had an opportunity to create, I've authored 7 books. And out of one of the books, I was able to create an empowerment program. And it is a curriculum that's based upon things that I have interviewed young girls that have struggled with. And so in my curriculum, I deal with 12 steps to upgrade your life.
Okay, so the curriculum that we're using in the program is the curriculum that you developed.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, Ms. Katz?
I have a question. Did you have any kind of goal setting with them at the beginning of the program, and how were those goals measured? I mean, you talked about the vision boards, but how did you measure their visions? And this is kind of a two-part question. Is there going to be any follow-up with the girls who participated in the program?
We would love to do follow-up. I have kept in touch with some of the girls that were part of the program last year. However, setting the goals, I think that the first 4 weeks, we were really trying to build the girls, empower them inwardly. Some of the girls struggled with social skills, behavior skills, being bullied, and we were able to talk them through and provide them with strategies and solutions. However, the way we measure that is watching them develop and interact with one another. At first, it was a lot of, I don't like you, you don't like me, don't touch me, don't talk to me. But we allowed them to communicate, really share and open up, and they began to share with their inner feelings. And so we were able to deal with that and minister, or I look at coaching as a form of ministry, but we were able to empower them in the areas where they were weak in. So we did see a vast improvement in character. We saw a vast improvement with personal development. A lot of our girls just didn't know how to walk positively and gain a positive mindset. And so we were able to teach them strategies on how to do that, not allowing the negativity to get on the inside of you. So they were able to use some coping mechanism that we were able to help them walk their life out every single day. So it's a struggle, but day by day, they're working through it.
Any other questions from the board for girls and pearls? I'm sorry. No other questions? I just want to say you got one of my robotic students, Ms. Clay, so very well represented, and
She's beautiful.
good job.
Thank you so much.
Hello, I'm Pastor Paul Campbell from Overflow Church, and the program that I'm speaking about today was our VIP program, which stood for Very Important People. We did it with students from ACA. 2 of them I have with me here who are ready to share a little bit about their experience with it and answering your questions. Kind of the framework of it was we met twice a week. This was towards the end of last school year. Using a leadership curriculum. That was what the whole program was around, was leadership development. We used Dr. Tim Elmore's Habitudes curriculum. And so each week, or each time we met, we go through different images that kind of reflect different values of leadership and things like that. So I'll allow them to introduce themselves and just kind of share some of their experience with it. Don't be shy.
My name is Jamal, and I go to ACA, and that something that I experienced with VIP is that to being a leader, and I don't have to follow what everybody else do, have them follow me, and the good things
My name is Kyle Blue, and the thing that I learned from VIP is not to do what everybody else do, but do what you do. And follow.
Any questions for them?
Thank you. How many students participated? And I also looked at the breakdown of 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
First they get snacks, then it's 30-minute tutoring, mentoring, So what is your ratio for tutoring and mentoring per student? Because I only see 2 staff members.
All right, we had 2 staff members, and then we had about 4 or 5 other volunteers. Honestly, we had 12 or so students that were signed up. And so honestly, the ratio some days were a little heavy on the mentor side. So probably about 2 to 1 for every. We had volunteers from Overflow Church as well as First Pres, Denmark.
Ms. Gass?
Was the tutoring based upon student request with help in particular subjects? Or was it, would you just explain a little bit
Yeah,
about
so
the
the way
tutoring?
we actually ended up, that was our original design, was gonna be around tutoring, just having students come in with, depending on what their kind of needs were in the classroom. Actually, what we ended up having to change that a little bit, and just ended up having kind of times where we agreed with them. Because we had a number of our students, majority of our students came from the portable program where they didn't necessarily have homework to do. And so that was just more kind of us sitting down with them, having time to read and kind of talk about, or go over a previous week's lesson or something like that with them. So the original design and the intent was to have that tutoring time. But we found because of the makeup of the students we had, them not having that homework we had to kind of make do with what we had.
Yes, ma'am.
So within the program, and because what I looked at as far as you having that down, do you interact with their teachers? Is this, and Trustee Gas asked, was it student driven for the mentoring, or is it teacher driven, saying that the teachers are saying specifically, this is what, because of the academic need within the district, is the teachers interacting with your program at all to say what our students actually need for you to mentor or to tutor?
So the teacher involvement at ACA was around, I would say, recruiting the students. When I would go out there and try to recruit and sign students for the program, that was kind of where their involvement is. In the future, when we like to do it, we'd love to have more teacher involvement. I think now having that kind of base foundation of having done it a year, that feedback would obviously be very helpful. But in this first iteration of the program, they are more involved in kind of selecting and encouraging students to sign up. So.
Ms. Mommy?
And correct me if I'm not remembering correctly, Paul, but part of the volunteers that worked with you also volunteered in the portable, correct?
Exactly, yes.
So they had a relationship with the kids before, they also volunteered with them after school.
Right. I appreciate you, but that's why I asked the gentleman, because they're initiating the program. And I wanted to hear that from the program itself, that the academics are being addressed, because the students can say they need one thing. I appreciate you, insisting, but I really wanted to hear that from the.
Well, yeah, again, like I said, though, because of where the students were coming from, my understanding, speaking with the teachers in the portables, they don't have homework, so.
Okay, that's part of what, I wanted to hear also.
Yeah.
So I have a question for the 2 young men. You talked about what the program did for you, right, or taught you, but did you gain any academic gains once you got into the program?
Yes.
Yes, I learned a lot. They helped me with my math class. I wasn't really doing good in my math class, but after doing that, I ended up with A.
All right, any other questions from the board? If not, thank you, VIP Club.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Roberto Overton. I'm a licensed professional counselor, national certified counselor. I currently work for the Student Health Center right behind the high school, and I serve all the high students in the high school. I am trained in early childhood trauma, cognitive behavioral therapy, and suicide prevention. That's the third part is one of the ones that I'm here to talk about tonight, which is suicide prevention. I'm one of the trainers, one of the few at the state of Michigan, and one out of two on this side of the state, although I know the gentleman who works in Lakeland. I'm a trainer of trainers, and my goal has been to train as many people I can in the community to become alert helpers. Because suicide and suicide thoughts are there in the community every day. But we need to help these people to get help. So one of the initiatives that I started doing when I came to work for Intercare was for me to train as many individuals that I can in the community. Safe Talk actually stands for Suicide Awareness for Everyone. And the key is about helping these people that have thoughts to get help. It's not to do the intervention, but to get into a place where they can receive help. So I've been working hard in the district trying to train as many people as I can. I actually did a couple of trainings for the district, one for the special education department. The other one was for the behavioral interventions in the district. And the last training that I did last summer, for the first time, I included some of the students, because anyone who is 15 and older qualifies for this training with parental permission. So for the first time, I had the opportunity to train some parents and students at the same time. And so my goal is also to work now in the future with teachers, because teachers, not only teachers, but also security guards, people that work in the cafeteria, because usually those are the individuals that students they see every day for the first time, including bus drivers. So when they have the connection with them, they feel comfortable talking about things. And sometimes it's important to have these connections, but also it's important to know how to handle these things. And for me, that's one of my goals and my jobs, to help as many people in the community. So this training is open for everyone in the community. And we're offering that training at the clinic for free. But the last training was with the help of the initiative from the grant, Safety Security Grant, and also to Intercare. So we will able to get some of those materials, but I do have more materials to provide more trainings for the future for more individuals, including teachers, security guards, even bus drivers, and whoever wants to attend these trainings. It's open to the public. And it's one of the things that I wanted to talk tonight. Thank you for your time. I'm going to do some of the people that actually trained us on
Good evening, everybody. The program, the SAFE program, was very good. It helped me to open my ear and hear, observe people who are suicidal, and have that third ear up here and use my brain and hear. So that's one benefit I gained from this program. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tamaya Clay, and being in the Safe Talk program, I learned how to detect certain signs that a person is actually suicidal. It was pretty cool, and I remembered everything on the first day because it was just so good and so interesting. Actually, Safe Talk, talk means, T means to tell, A means to ask, L means to listen, and K means to keep safe. And through those categories, it has like really helped me to detect when someone is being suicidal or when someone needs attention. And I'm looking forward to start the second training that's called the Assist next week. So thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mel Green, and the Safe Talk program helped me realize how common it is. Like before that, I knew suicide happened, but I didn't know like it happened as much. It helped me to like like she said, detect it and like know the signs of when it's gonna happen and like kind of help people when I think that they're gonna commit suicide.
Good evening. My name is Bobby Clay. I count it a privilege and an honor to have the opportunity to participate in that program. I was actually bringing my children to the program, and I just stayed, and I'm glad that I did, because I never gave suicide that much thought until I went through this program. And it was helpful because I have a 21-year-old. All of this was just right on time. He's suicidal, and so I learned in this program how to actually start talking to him. And so this program was very helpful. Actually, right after that, a family here in Ben Harbor had a member to commit suicide, and our hearts went out, and then I really started seeing, wow, this thing is really big. This is something that we should really give more attention to. And actually, my son and my daughter actually wanted to go to this family and talk with them, but we didn't have the connection, I guess, to really do it. But I was just thankful, you know, that this has really grabbed us, and I'm gonna, along with my children, go to the next level with this thing, and we're just gonna go from there.
There were 13 individuals who took this training. We had parents, we had school personnel, we had students, we had an individual from Andrews who works with us through the grant who attended also. And so after you have a chance to ask questions, and we'll be giving them their certificates. Any questions?
We'll start with Ms. Momini, then Ms. Seats.
My question is, Ms. Clay, can I take your daughter home? She has such a ray of sunshine. I love your smile and your enthusiasm.
Ms. Seats.
Thank you. I'd like to know how many staff within the Benton Harbor School District have been trained, how many of our security guards have been trained to identify an incident, and then what is the level of confidentiality once people have been trained concerning information gained through an individual that has those tendencies?
So far, the three trainings that I provided have only included special ed department, some of the teachers, some of the administrators, and then the second one, it was the behavioral intervention they are throughout the district. And the last one was the students and parents. So the next training that I'm trying to set out this now to include not just security guards, but also the people that work in the cafeteria, because those are the very first individuals the students will come in contact every day, and they become very close to them. Now, confidentiality in this part when it comes to suicide, in reality, there is no really confidentiality. You really have to act on the behalf of the student or the person.
No, that's not what I meant. I meant you do have to share, but then is there HIPAA included? I know that's not medical, but a lot of times people afterwards don't want everybody knowing that they were suicidal. So I know there's people that they have to tell and need to talk to, if it's Riverwood or whoever.
Correct.
But I'm talking about if you talk to students, not to share with just different people about other students who may be suicidal.
Oh, yes, yes. It's something, well, yeah, in that part, yes. That's part of my job, as a counselor, yes. Confidentiality, we HIPAA. I know the schools have FERPA, and I understand both of them, because I used to work in the school setting. So, yeah, it's all, everything is confidential in that part, yes, absolutely. In terms of like, you have to speak up about someone is suicidal, absolutely.
Thank you. Good job. Thank you.
Any other questions from the board?
I do have a question for Mrs. CA. And I'm realizing it's been a long time since we took on the safety grant, and I can't remember how we presented it in the grant that we were going to evaluate how the programs were working. Did we base it on behavior? Did we base it on academics? Can you help me with that?
Dr. Larrier will be evaluating the program. Some of it is going to be based on the improvement in the suspension rate, attendance, and academics. That's basically what's going to be the result of that. But as far as programs like this, It's a matter of whether what's being provided is a benefit to the public safety of the students in the community.
But we have a way to meet the requirements of the grant to demonstrate, what kind of progress we made.
That's an interesting question. Some of the projects such as this kind of enables people to provide a service. Other projects that are being evaluated, you'll get the data behind that when she provides the outcome. There have been, for example, when we have the Peace Day and the memorial garden that Mrs. Kennard was involved in creating was a project that benefited not just the school but the community, but it's hard to measure how that benefits. We know it's there for the benefit of the community. But other projects that we're involved in, there's going to be actual data that, pre- post-test data that will be analyzed and presented towards the end of the funding period.
Thank you.
Angie?
Yeah, I guess following what Mrs. Mahoney has said, I was under the assumption that, with a grant, everything that comes out of it, we have to show data. So these programs that you're saying that, are helping, how do we justify, how do we show that they are benefited? Instead of just saying, yes, they benefited the community.
Well, then I will be providing a narrative or a summary about those programs such as this that didn't have data necessarily, but will show that it's a benefit to the community. So in speaking with the representative from Michigan Department of Education, it's my contact, she said, if you can justify that it's something that will benefit the public safety of the school and the community, then it's an eligible funding project. So where some of the projects will have a summary that I provide, others will have data that Dr. Laria will provide when she does her evaluation.
Okay.
So how many?
Well, we got one more question on the table, and then I want you to present your certifications.
So how many of these programs are you going to provide the narrative for?
This one, the Peace Day. I don't have the list in front of me. The VIP Club provided data. I don't have all those in front of me, but the ones related to the schools and increasing the attendance, such as the what's going on in the intervention rooms and the projects related to the improving academic achievement, decreasing the suspension rate, and improving attendance, that data will come through Dr. Larrier's data collection, and she'll be providing the reports at the end of the reporting period.
All right, so at this time, Mrs. CA, please present the Safe Talk Suicide Training recipients their certifications.
All right, first we have Bobby Clay, who is the parent of Tamaya Clay and Rashawn. And we have Tamel Green, who is a student at the high school, and his mother also attended. So I'm going to give him his mother's certificate. Eleanor Gavin, Tamaya Clay, you're welcome, and Rashawn Clay. You're welcome. And those who aren't here to receive it, I will be sure they get theirs in the mail.
If you guys could, the board wants to shake your hand. We also want to shake the hands of Girls with Pearls. So if the board could go to the right and you guys meet us, we'll shake your hand. We want to congratulate you.
1 second on that.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna ask you all to kind of that way a little bit, that way we get better backdrops for you. All right. Everybody ready?
You're fine. We can hear you.
Oh, come on. Okay, smile. Let's do one more, please. Smile. All right, thank you very much. You're welcome.
Ms. CA?
Yes.
We just have a couple of questions.
Sure. I do have a couple questions concerning programs, and does the grant require that the programs have written policies? Because there are policies that go along with the policies that are directly connected to the school system. We do have a program that is off-site. Is there written policies to what happens in the case of emergency? Do these programs have those policies? And also, one of my concerns is I did send an email asking several questions about blanket dollar amounts, because if we only have 5 students attending and we keep the same dollar amount, we do have staff that may be concerned that sometimes the grants pay a little more than sometimes some of the teachers that we employ, because if we pay per student, then that causes the programs to do a little more marketing. But if we have a blanket dollar amount, you only have to have maybe 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 students that participate, but the dollar amount doesn't change because it's pre-approved before you get the students in the program. So that is one of my concerns. And I would like to see the programs are required to have policies, especially off-site, because in case of emergency, are they connected to the emergency management system in Berrien County? Do they have an emergency exit plan? There's a lot of requirements when it comes to liability, especially for kids. And are we requiring that there are policies in places at these programs? Thank you.
Now, are those questions for me, or do I respond to them
Oh,
through your
that's
regular?
my questions, and if you could get back with me.
Sure.
Because again, the per student is a concern to me, and also written policies. I looked up other after-school programs, and most of them require that the programs have written policies in place that goes along with the program, policies and procedures that go along with for their staff. They make sure that the students understand, Civil Rights Commission laws, the sexual harassment. They make sure the students learn all of those policies so that this school doesn't become liable for anything that can happen, that we're charged to be responsible.
All right, I will address those in the manner that these comments are normally addressed. Thank you.
Thank you. On to student supports. Mary Della Mariani, PBIS student support teams.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I am Mary Del Mariani. I am a member of Dr. Walker's leadership team as part of the statewide system of support for priority schools through the Michigan Department of Education. So here to just give you a brief overview of the positive behavioral intervention supports that are in place in the Benton Harbor area schools. And it really, you've probably heard the acronym PBIS, and it really is not a program, it's a way of work. It is a school-wide, proactive, team-based, systemic approach to prevent problem behaviors and develop pro-social skills using data to solve problems. It's structured around 5 variables that we use kind of a mnemonic device to help teachers and staff remember the 5 important variables when you're talking about positive behavioral intervention supports. That we try to make sure that we structure the environment, not just the physical environment, but the environment in terms of rules and routines within the building and within classrooms. We teach expectations, we observe and monitor on a regular basis, interact positively, act calmly and consistently. Those are the major tenets of positive behavioral intervention supports. In the Benton Harbor area schools, we use the acronym ROAR. We've all seen the posters, and that is really the foundation for our positive behavioral intervention supports. It's the core values that we hold dear within this district, that we are respectful, orderly and safe, achieving and responsible. And we try to get that message out to all the students, all the staff, everybody who works and interacts in the district, that Benton Harbor Tigers roar. These are the values that we hold dear. It's a continuous improvement process. It's supporting student well-being and the social emotional goals of the partnership agreement. There's ongoing professional development and support. We have ongoing training for the building leaders, building leadership teams, and all of the staff. We work with Safe and Civil Schools. We have Dr. Anthony Muhammad, who is coming to work with some climate and culture. We have the training that we all went through the mental health training, the ACEs training ongoing training that we had last year and continuing. So lots of ongoing professional development and support. It's, as I said earlier, it's a framework with the emphasis on being positive, preventative, a multi-tiered, evidence-based framework. There are 3 kind of main tiers of the system, where the school-wide core expectations are addressed by the full staff through building leadership teams. Every building has a leadership team that helps support the building leader and the whole staff. And then at the grade or subject level, we have professional learning communities. Every 10 days, all staff meet either as a grade level or as a subject level, and they look at interventions and expectations, both behavioral and academic, every 10 days in those PLCs. And then we have a method for looking at individualized expectations or interventions, which we call the student study team. So that's at the very individualized level, where there might be some very unique individualized needs for students. The student study team is designed as a building-based team, but looking at individualized academic and behavioral interventions. The team is made up of representatives from each building. This is a team that's appointed and organized by the building leader. The team also is made up of may be made up of representatives from the RISA diagnostic team. In the buildings that have Riverwood therapists, they would be part of the team. And the building interventionists, so the people who are trained to really look at individualized plans for students. Parents are also invited and are active participants in the plans that are developed for their children. So the connections between this systemic approach of being positive and proactive, better known as PBIS or Positive Behavioral Intervention Supports, is really connected to instructional management. It's the way in which we manage instruction for all students. It has to do with student engagement, which is directly related to the curriculum. Climate and culture, teacher evaluations. The teacher evaluation includes a number of areas that are specific to positive behavioral intervention supports, the student mental health training that we've had, and the adverse childhood experience training that has been ongoing. So that's a quick overview. Any questions?
Ms. Cullen?
Yes, where is the data that shows that PBIS has improved the test scores?
The data we use to evaluate the effectiveness of positive behavioral intervention supports is we use twice a year we survey parents, students, and staff with we use the same tool for all three groups. And so we use that survey result, pre and post test. We use weekly, we look at office referrals, we look at attendance data, we look at suspension and expulsion data. So those are the primary pieces of data that we look at. And as well as academic data. So every 10 days in the professional learning community, teachers are looking at little bits of data, the academic data and the office referral data specifically.
That didn't answer my question, but
Okay,
thank you.
could you ask a clarifying question then? Maybe I
Okay,
can.
where is the PBIS results data that shows your work, that it improved, that these structures that you put in place improve the test scores? Like this kid got mental health evaluation and help, and it helped him focus on his math. So instead of him getting low scores on math, he got high scores. Where is that data? Not a survey where it's like impromptu where the parent answer or it's sent to a group of individuals who may be present in the room at that time, because I have 2 kids and I've never gotten a survey. I have a high school student and an elementary student. So I'm not sure if it's a broad thing that parents receive all over and what level of communication is done. But my question was, how do we know this is working as to raise the test scores? Where is that data? Like, show your work.
And in the example you gave, then we would use, say, for example, a student we're struggling with math and maybe we're struggling with some behavioral issues. We would look at, of course, the math performance and grades. And as I said, every 10 days, that academic data is reviewed by the professional learning communities. And within those PLC discussions, they all also look at office referral data, behavioral data. So those are the immediate short-term data pieces that they would specifically look at for students.
So I'm gonna go to Ms. Seeks first, and then Dr. Walker.
Thank you.
Sure.
You're talking about PBIS, which is addressed at looking at more prevention.
Yes.
Less punishment.
Yes.
And you also mentioned curriculum. What
Yes.
curriculum do you use? And my question is, are your practices, your interventions, and all of your strategies evidence-based? Because I believe that the Michigan Department of Education requires that anything that touches our students, regardless of what it is, it needs to be evidence-based. So
Yes, you're right.
that's what I'm
You're right.
asking, are all
So,
your practices?
positive behavioral intervention supports in and of itself is a practice that is evidence-based. For our core instruction for positive behavioral intervention supports, we use an organization called Safe and Civil Schools. They are one of the 5 nationally recognized organizations to use for teacher training for positive behavioral intervention supports. Our staff leadership teams and building leaders received training last year. This year, we are continuing with Safe and Civil Schools. They are actually coming, the trainer who we had last year is actually coming to the district 4 times to, in the past, the training has been offered at the RISA. And there were times when it was difficult for teams to get away from the buildings and come to the RISA. So they're going to, the trainer is actually going to come to the district.
So you do have hard copy curriculum?
Yes, I would say they use, Safe and Civil Schools has I don't know that I would necessarily call it a curriculum, but yes, they have a format. It is a hard copy that you can see, have a book and see what they present. Yes.
Okay, because I know you had mentioned, did I misquote and say that the Michigan Department of Education, when it comes to our students, it has to be evidence-based? Did I? Okay, thank you so much.
Yes.
Dr. Walker?
Just want to also connect last week's, and I'm sorry for my cold, last week's presentation when the data of the scorecard was shared. If you all remember that bar graph, those foundational pieces we talked about at the beginning of the school year where we were and how we implement. A lot of those pieces align to the curriculum, but some of those pieces also align to the foundational work for PBIS. So last year, as Mr. Mariani presented, there was time spent just reintroducing the staff to this whole approach to addressing proactively and positively students' behaviors. What we're seeing this year is amazing, and I encourage you all to please go into the schools. It is a marked difference. This first week of school has been teachers working with students around positive behavior expectations that call universals. And when you establish those as a building, what the building universal expectations and processes are, what that does for students is it gives them a sense of what's expected of them across the school. And so when you look at this program or curriculum, as Ms. Cease is asking, this approach that explains how PBIS works that we're modeling after, it speaks to these tiers, universals to interventions and how it does impact academics as well as student behaviors, and it's very data rich, so we can certainly help you see that. Our scorecard, though, if you go back to that last week, those data points that are in the scorecard, those tie into what Ms. Mariani is saying. And this year, we'll do a stronger correlation between our discipline, our attendance data, and achievement data. And we're looking to see, to get to that 10% and 30% achievement. These are the foundational structures that allow us to build on the academics. And we see that in the report given today was we recommended to every classroom at home. And the response was every classroom at home, every teacher was engaged in teaching the curriculum. That happened last year. So these foundational pieces are setting the stage for us to move into a rich instructional environment to improve upon those past practices and those past outcomes that have not been good for kids, and the data shows that. So we won't see the results of these foundational things for a couple of years. And so that's what people need to don't forget the past as we keep looking to the future. But we don't want to repeat the past. So the data is in your scorecard to help answer that question.
Ms. McGowan?
So the data that you have, it sounds like it's very general. And what we
I think you're looking for is more specific. So since this will be the second year, can we count on during this year getting data that is more specific, showing where this, in this building, this intervention person has worked with these students consistently, and there is some progress, or the student has maintained, and being realistic, some students will not progress like we would hope. But I think that is the kind of data that we would like to see instead of just general.
Ms. Gully?
That's exactly what I was thinking. She said what I was thinking.
Any other questions from the board? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, on to business and finance. Mr. Johnson, staff report number 1.
Thank you. Monthly financial reports, reason for board consideration. A set of financial reports is prepared for and provided to the Board of Education each month. Facts analysis this evening, it's recommended that payments for all the district's funds be approved for the month of July 2017. Policy reference is 6470, payment of claims. Recommended action is that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to approve the July 2017 payments for the funds listed.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. May I have a motion for the approval of staff report number 1?
I move that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to approve the July 2017 payments totaling $1,507,466.49.
Motion by Ms. McGowan. May I have a support?
Support.
Supported by Mrs. Momini. Questions, comments, concerns regarding staff report number 1? Ms. Seats?
Margaret Gas,
Yes.
Martha Momney,
Yes.
Angelica McGowan,
Yes.
Marletta Seach, yes. Lisa Gully,
Yes.
Stephen Mitchell,
Yes.
Joseph Taylor.
Yes.
Ayes have it.
Staff report number 1 passes. Staff report number 2, food service equipment bid award.
Thank you. Reason for board consideration, the district has several food service equipment items that need replacing or need purchasing anew. Facts and analysis, a request for proposals or RFP was issued for new food service equipment for multiple schools. The bids were due and were opened on Thursday, September 7th. To allow time to review the bids and to contact one or more of the bidders with any follow-up questions over the next few days, it's recommended that the board authorize the superintendent to award the bid up to $75,000 in aggregate. Some of the equipment will be grant funded and the balance will be funded by the food service fund. The general fund will incur no cost for this purchase. Policy reference is 6320, purchasing, and the recommended action is that the Benton Harbor Schools Board of Education votes to authorize the superintendent to award the bid for purchase of food service equipment not to exceed $75,000.
Thank you. May I have a motion for the approval of staff report number 2?
I move that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to authorize the superintendent to award the bid for the purchase of food service equipment not to exceed $75,000.
Motion by Ms. McGowan. May I have a support?
Support.
Supported by Ms. Gass. Questions, comments, concerns for staff report number 2? Mrs. Momini.
What kind of ballpark did we get on the bids that did come in?
They came in between upper 30s being the lowest bid, and the highest bid was just under $50,000.
Okay, so we're way under the 75. Okay.
Yes.
Any other questions? Ms. Seats?
Joseph Taylor,
Yes.
Stephen Mitchell. Yes. Lisa Gully,
Yes.
Marletta Seach, yes. Angelica McGowan,
Yes.
Martha Momney,
Yes.
Margaret Gas.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Staff report number 3 passes. I'm sorry, staff report number 2. Staff report number 3, bank deposits and agent resolution. Mr. Johnson.
Thank you. Reason for board consideration is banks require a list of board-approved signers for the district's bank accounts. Facts analysis, to maintain continuity of banking service, it's recommended that the district's bank deposits and agent resolution be updated to include staffing transition scheduled at the end of September. 2 copies of the resolution are attached. One resolution shows the most recently approved resolution, including revision marks. The second resolution copy incorporates the proposed revisions, excluding the revision marks. The proposed resolution includes the establishment of a new account for the 2017 sinking fund. There's no policy reference. The recommended action is that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to approve as presented the updated bank deposits and agents resolution.
Thank you. May I have a motion for the approval of staff report number 3?
I move that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to approve as presented the updated bank deposits and agents resolution.
Motion moved by Angelica McGowan. May I have a support?
Support.
Supported by Martha Momini. Questions, comments, concerns on staff report number 3? Mrs.
Okay,
Momini.
I'm admitting my ignorance. Who is Rob Burgess?
He's the gentleman who has been assisting in the business office and had expressed willingness to provide some transition service for the district.
Okay, all right. Okay. Did we pick him up off the streets or does he work with us? But he has been working with us. Okay.
Any other questions? Ms. Seats?
Margaret Gass,
Yes.
Martha Momney,
Yes.
Angelica McGowan,
Yes.
Marletta Seat, yes. Lisa Gully,
Yes.
Stephen Mitchell.
Yes.
Joseph Taylor.
Yes. Staff report number 4 passes. I'm sorry, number 3 passes. Staff report number 4, employment of instructional staff. Mrs. Pappas.
Thank you. Appointment of instructional staff, reason for board consideration. The board must vote to approve the employment of the following instructional staff in accordance with the revised school code and other general laws of Michigan. Facts and analysis, we have Francis Roman, a speech and language pathologist to be based at MLK. The recommended action is that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to approve the employment of the aforementioned instructional staff.
Thank you. May I have a motion for the approval of staff report number 4?
I move that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to approve the employment of the aforementioned instructional staff.
Thank you. Motion by trustee Martha Momini. May I have a support?
Support.
Supported by Ms. Gass. Questions, comments, concerns regarding staff report number 4? Ms. Seats?
Joseph Taylor,
Yes.
Stephen Mitchell.
Yes.
Lisa Gully,
Yes.
Marletta Seat, yes. Angelica McGowan,
Yes.
Martha Momney,
Yes.
Margaret Gass.
Yes.
Staff report number 4 passes. I keep getting ahead of myself. Staff report number 5.
All right, thank you. Subject is resignation of instructional staff, and the reason for board consideration is that the board must vote to accept the resignation of the instructional staff. Facts and analysis, we have Joy Savanas, 3rd grade teacher at MLK. She did resign before the school year began. Casey Miller-Scatia, science teacher at the high school. She's been with Benton Harbor Area Schools for 11 years. Deandra Fema, special education teacher at MLK. She's been with our district for 7 years. Jennifer Houston, math teacher at ECA. She's been with the district for 4 years. I will say some of these were abrupt, so I emailed out the exit interview forms, and I expect you to get those back by email.
Great, thank you.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, go ahead, ma'am.
Just a caveat there. Recommended action is that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to accept the resignation of the aforementioned staff, and that a letter is sent thanking them for their service to the students and district of Benton Harbor Area Schools.
Thank you. May I have a motion for the approval of staff report number 5?
Okay, I move that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to accept the resignation of the aforementioned staff and that a letter is sent thanking them for their service to the students and district of Benton Harbor Area Schools.
Thank you. Motion by Martha Mamadi. May I have a second?
Support.
Supported by Angelica McGowan. Questions, comments, concerns regarding staff report number 5?
Are we really sending a thank you note to the one that never even started work?
That is in question. I typically do. She did resign, and so this would be just saying we are accepting your resignation.
Okay.
That's kind of what we're doing.
It says we're thanking them for service. And I'm very, very sorry to see the math teacher resign.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes, so what is the number open now? What's our number of teachers?
Let's go to.
And could you break them down like science, math, the
And-
4 subjects?
Yes, we do have 4 subjects open. In our last week's, I'm gonna go to that real quick if you give me a second. In our last week's work session, I have our employment update memo. And so you'll see what our openings are. And then the number is reduced, but that is because we have a lot of long-term subs covering some of those core positions. So I can tell you off the bat, we do have 2 science positions open at the high school. Last week, there was a 3rd grade teacher opening at MLK. We do have that covered by a long-term sub who is committed for the school year. At the high school, I mentioned science teacher openings, also our CTE openings are still outstanding. I think other arrangements have been made there. Then what you see listed for Dream Academy is math teacher and social studies teacher. Those are also both covered by long-term subs who are agreeing to stay for the full year. And the special education openings, that number has gone down in the week from 3 to 2. But again, it's a long-term sub covering that. And you guys voted last week also for a special education teacher, so that helps our number go down as well. And that is a certified teacher that you voted in last week. And then we'll need an additional instructional coach. So the note there, that number would go up for your next work session of the memo, 20 long-term subs. I think we're up a little higher than that now. And I'll have that update for you in October.
So the subs are in the math classes at the high school?
I have 1 long-term sub in math at high school. And that is to replace the resignation that we saw.
All right, Ms. Seeks?
Yes, question. Do you track and categorize the major reasons for employees leaving the school district, like teachers? Certain reasons after you get your exit? And can you share that with the board so that we know, and categorize? Some of them may be leaving because their spouse is relocating. And I would like to see why, we're not retaining at times some of our teachers.
Yes, I can share that information. I will tell you that is a big one, relocation, accepting other positions, and then we have retirements as well. So those are probably my 3 main categories.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Ms. Gavin?
Do all teachers resigning have to give a reason?
They do not, and a lot of times their letter will say what it is. Sometimes it's just a general thank you for giving me this opportunity at this time I'm resigning. The exit interview kind of digs a little deeper. When I get those back, I usually express what the reason is. Is it for another position? Is it you're just hiring or moving? And so they don't initially have to say that. If I can do the exit interview, I usually get that information at that point.
Are those reasons articulated in the letter that you send out to them so that they pick a category, or are they still just asked to respond to why are they resigning?
When you say the letter I sent out.
Or with the exit interview? I'm sorry.
Oh, the questionnaire, yes, yes. So there are questions there that would ask them, why are you leaving, per se, or what could we have done to retain you? Those type of questions are on that exit form.
Thank you.
Does salary have a factor in it? That's a question on there as well.
Ms. McGowan?
Do we have any certified teachers in non-classroom positions that could fill these vacant positions?
Certified teachers, we have certified teachers in academic support roles. That's the first thing that we did.
And are any of those certified to fill these positions?
They would be able to go into a position such as a teacher classroom.
So is that something that's being considered at all?
Well, for our particular opening at the high school, which I find that to be the high need, the science positions, I do not have a certified teacher available to go into them. I have certified teachers, I have to look and see what their certifications are, but we don't have openings in their areas. If that answers the question.
So you're saying all of the certified teachers that are in non-classroom positions, their certification doesn't fit our openings?
That is correct. From my initial investigation into that, that would be correct. So I have 2 people in mind that I'm thinking of right now that are certified for their building level, and then our openings are at the high school level.
What about
For science?
the 3rd grade position?
You're asking me if
Yeah,
I have a
is there-
certified teacher available for the 3rd grade?
Yeah, I mean, all of them, not just the high school. I realize you have to, be highly qualified for middle and high school, but elementary, are there any of those non-classroom people that, would consider or we could move into one of these openings?
I will have to do some further investigation on that. My initial answer was, there are some roles that people are serving in where they are certified teacher, but serving in an alternative role, by choice. So it would have to be a movement, I would say initiated by the superintendent in order for them to go there. There were the openings, if that makes sense. Does that clarify kind of my position on things?
Right, I understand the superintendent has the right of assignment, and I'm just wondering if that's something that's being considered, with the need for certified personnel in the classroom.
Yes, I think we do a good job of looking at people's certification and trying to make them match with what we have currently. Is there anything that you want to add to that? I feel that we do investigate those things and present those opportunities of need, and we've made those changes before in the past. And I think we need to investigate to see if there's someone that would be willing to go into one of these hiring spots.
What do you say, willing?
Dr. Walker, can you comment on that to help us out?
Yes.
So, for example, before certified teachers move into a certified department position like an academic support position, we do try to make sure we fill that position with another certified teacher. So again, I'm thinking of some examples in ELA, where we have some people that are in non-core teaching positions that may have an ELA certification. We did not allow them to make the transfer, although they requested the position, the administrator selected them because we didn't have another certified teacher to take their place. So to your question right now, we don't have, to my knowledge, I don't have this is close up in front of me, this is establishment in a map. We don't have certified teachers here, it's like other assignments that they teach math and art science. So, social, I'm sorry.
I realize that I'm the 3rd grade position.
I was gonna go through all, I'm sorry. So I was gonna do it in social studies and in science, in social studies and in ELA. I do know we have certified teachers that serve in positions that have ELA credential, but I'm not sure if we have any ELA open positions, do we? We do not, right, so we wouldn't be able to move those teachers, and as far as the social studies teacher who is in training and is a sub, I don't again we have anybody that's serving in a non-academic classroom position that has social studies certification. So for those core areas, again, I think it's trying to say is we need, try not to even move unless we can replace them with certified. For the third grade, it is a difference. These are all, and I think what she was trying to say, high school people.
Yeah, I
And
realize
so for
that.
the elementary level, we don't have any people other than our instructional coaches who may be certified in elementary, and they've been serving as instructional coaches for years, and it would be a force. So that's where the third grade, I think we'll be able to find a third grade teacher. I think it's the K-5s, from what I'm saying in Michigan, there's just a teacher shortage, as you know, Michigan. But it just happens so quickly, it just has to, we have to find a place.
And my concern is just, these, we need to have certified teachers in the classroom. These non-classroom positions are great, but I think if we have that opening and we have someone who is certified, then we should look at seriously about having a conversation and moving a certified person into that classroom.
And we do that, yes, well, and again, going back to last year, when we had that one, we did have a serious conversation with the teacher. We could force them to go with, because they can get jobs over there, so you have to balance how much of a force is a force. And we did force people to move when we configured to the K2, 3, 5, 6, 8, based on certification. We did force people to take jobs. A lot of people were very unhappy because they were forced into positions based on their certification and not based on what they wanted to teach, based on what you're saying. So,
And I'll just say, I was one of those people that was moved. So, I mean, it has happened in the past. And, what's more important? Certified person in the classroom.
Ms. Gully?
Yes, I have a question from, I was talking to some students and was asking them how was it at the high school. And they was talking about one teacher in particular was housing about 5 classes in her room because there weren't any teachers there. It's a meeting and then it's actual reality. And what they asked me is kind of, I hope y'all don't get offended by what I say, but it came from kids, so they have a voice and it's me. They said, how is it that y'all can replace an athletic director faster than you can replace the teachers? Can you answer that question, Kelly?
Yeah, I can certainly answer that. And I would say it is definitely a harder thing to get teachers. One, due to the certifications that they have to hold in order to come into a classroom. Also, interest levels. I think we got a lot of interest in that particular position and had a good pool to choose from and interview for to get that final candidate versus the teachers. I can go in right now and pull up what I have for math at the high school and the number is 0. I can pull up the number for science at the high school, the number is 1, and we've already interviewed and he declined. So it is definitely an interesting, as well as the requirements to be a teacher and to come to this district. It's definitely harder to get those candidates.
Thank you.
Mrs. Molly?
Have we thought about really stepping outside the box and thinking of things like a shared position, possibly with retired teachers, where more than one retired teacher comes in and teaches the math, and they set up a schedule where they rotate them? Because that, even though they'd be rotating teachers, they would be the same ones over and over all year long, rather than the possibility of having subs coming for 6 weeks and then leaving. Just, maybe crazy idea, I don't know if it's possible, but we definitely need to think outside the box to try to figure out how to fill these positions. Maybe that's something we could look at.
I think we definitely are at that point of thinking outside the box. I'm not sure if it's out there yet for the teachers. Okay. We have some prospects coming up to help those who are interested in teaching to gain their certification in an alternative way, all approved by the state. And I find this to be helpful because we have a lot of quality long-term subs who have been with us through the school year last year, are back again, and decided this is a career that they want to pursue. So I know it's one thing to go out and recruit and try to get the certified teachers, but another avenue we can explore is looking at those who go into teaching, who have been embedded in the classrooms for last year, this year, and kind of helping them with the tools to get the certification. I think we get quality candidates that way as well. So we're open to outside the box thinking.
Could you speak to the challenge in Michigan with certified teachers coming back, retired teachers coming back? Why that's not an easy option.
I think there are, yeah, and I'm not very well versed in this, but I know that there are barriers to retired teachers. You spoke to it last week, being able to come back into the classroom, time periods, things with their retirement and such. So we have to work around that as well, see if there is an option.
Well, I would just say, I know it's hard because the whole state of Michigan and urban education is suffering with the teacher shortage right now. So it's not just Ben Harbor area schools. And then I think the students that posed the question to Ms. Gully, that was a great question. And I think what the community and students as well have to understand, you can't force or make anyone take a job, right? You can't make anyone stay at a job. I think because when we lowered our expectations of pay, right? So when we lowered the pay, so, you know, if you're a person, wherever you're from, you get a chance to make more money, sometimes you go. So I think that's some of the things that we're looking at right now is teacher flight because of lack of pay, right? If you can work in a better district. Ms. Cullen?
Yes, and just to piggyback off of what you're saying, is because they had said that during the peace walk, a few teachers had communicated that they were resigning, so the peace walk was in June. So they felt that the district had enough time to recruit teachers, but we just got some of those resignations last meeting. So that's where the whole thing came in. It was like, you guys already knew that these teachers were leaving, and why did you work over the summer to fill these positions when it was already made known during the peace walk that I think it was a couple of teachers that were leaving. So not that they want you to force people to stay, but I think they're thinking of the whole, what's the recruitment process and what's the main focus and how hard are we working to actually get them teachers in here.
Those are excellent questions. I'm actually glad that you brought it up because hopefully you and anyone else who's listening can take back some information on how that works. So if that information was made known in the summer, I will say sometimes it doesn't get to HR until a certain point. And so then we've got the information now and it could have been out for quite some time. But it is a process. We did work through the summer and in the spring, even with recruiting and visiting schools. I know I shared that with you guys in our, when we have the HR subcommittees. So there's always a lot of work being done behind the scenes, and we encourage them to let them know that that is definitely happening. As you all know, teacher shortage, it is a hard sell to get individuals to Michigan and to our district in particular, but we are working very hard to do so. And I'm happy to share some of those processes, you know, for those who have questions or students have suggestions. I encourage students to go into education, you know, if you have that passion or if you know someone who has that passion. So we can help get you in the classroom. That would be awesome.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Staff report number 6, Dr. Walker, contract renewal with Hypothesis.
Yes, thank you. So Hypothesis is the company that we brought on board last year to do the data analysis.
Just one second.
Forgot to.
Yeah, it was, we went for a while.
Yeah.
All right, so Mr. Mitchell, please call the roll.
Ms. Katz?
Yes.
Ms. Momedy?
Yes.
Ms. McGowan?
Yes.
Ms. Seats? You voted yes. Lisa Dolly?
Yes.
Steve Mitchell? Yes. Joseph Dale?
Yes. Staff report number 5 passes. Dr. Walker, staff report number 6.
Thank you. So Hypothesis again is the company that handles our data analysis. If I could just say, I did have an idea of listening to some of the questions earlier. I'd like to propose to the board that we bring someone to the board to speak about data and how they coordinate. So that might be something to help us to some of the questions earlier. It's just an idea. So the reason for board consideration, Hypothesis compiles, organizes, and provides data analysis for the district. Last year, Benton Harbor contracted with Hypothesis to provide guidance, oversight, technical assistance, and analysis of data as it relates to the development of and the reporting of the Benton Harbor Quarterly Education Outcome Scorecard. During this next year, hypothesis will provide the same services. Policy references purchasing. And so recommended action that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to approve the renewal of the contract with Hypothesis LLC as stated.
Thank you. May I have a motion for the approval of staff report number 6?
I move that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to approve the renewal of the contract with Hypotheses LLC as submitted.
Thank you. Motion moved by trustee Martha Momini. May I have a support? Supported by Angelica McGowan. Any questions, comments, concerns regarding staff report number 6? Mrs. Momini, then Ms. Gadd.
Okay, as we look down and we have a chart that shows the scope of work and budget that's being proposed. Under 3B, it talks about revising established protocols for data collection and reporting and templates, assisting the creation of more efficient systems. And down to 6, assist with preparation of data-related tools for the following school year, surveys, data, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Is this the person that could help us work on our data collection where we're going to be able to maneuver that data so that we can determine whether our initiatives are being successful academically or not?
Yes, so that's why I was thinking of bringing her before the board to talk about what does that look like. And she can't help us get to it. That's the area that I've talked to you about. But in terms of identifying the data points and how we're going to measure things, yes, she does help with that.
Ms. Gaddis, then the 6.
Just reviewing this proposal, looking at number 1, the 3 on-site meetings. Who all is included for 4,500? Who all is included in these meetings for $4,500?
So when we get together with her, it's Dr. Teasley from the Department of Education and the leadership team. And we come together, that's when we do the data analysis of the scorecard. And we do a very in-depth research-based practice around assessing how the data is speaking to us regarding the strategies or initiatives and things that have been put into place at Benton Harbor, and if they're effective or not, and how we plan to move forward. So she's a part of that. It's about 4 to 6 hours, and we engage ourselves in that level of analysis.
Ms. 6. Okay. Ms. Gaddis.
So this is her fee for those 3 sessions of 4 to 6 hours.
So that's approximately $250 an hour. So 3 meetings is $1,500, and each session for 6 hours, so 6 divided by 15 is 250. Yeah, we might as well call True.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Ms. Gaskian?
Who else is involved in, from the district in these meetings?
The leadership team is myself, Ms. Robertson, Ms. McDonald, Ms. Del Mariano, and the other members of the My Excel team. And now will be Mr. Scott, who's our new curriculum director.
Thank you.
Ms. Gully?
I need an explanation on number 2. I'm not quite sure what that means. Ongoing communication and support with Benton Harbor Area Schools Administration and Barry Arisa as applicable to the work in Benton Harbor Area Schools through Google, Hangout, meetings, conference calls, and emails, and that's for $5,000. I don't understand what that is.
So, as an example, oftentimes when we're reading, because we do read more than a court, she will participate, and she's not out of this. So a part of that other fee also includes her travel. But she will come online with us, we'll go hang out so we can see her, and she can see us looking at charts and looking at data and things like that. So she participates in our meetings, but she's not there. When she references the very recent, for example, so with the state data, we've given her access to our data in-house, state data, but because the recent does a lot of our data management as well, there's a lot of coordination that she has done with them, like, to access information specific to Benton Harbor, particularly when we start talking about historical data that the RISA has. And so she does a lot of that coordinating to pull that information in, as we have attempted in this past year to set our baseline around data points that will give us information specific to the programs and the initiatives that we talked about earlier. And that correlation between what is the program and then how we measure that. So that's what she referenced.
So she found the historical data.
I'm sorry.
So you said she references historical data. So you're saying that she has access to previous data from Ben Harbor Area Schools?
So I'm talking academic data from the state. So Barry Lisa has all that data. So she may reach out to them, get that data and bring it into the district, because there is no district tool and no district platform of having harvest and gather the data, because from our point, that's mostly done by Barry Lisa, not within Benton.
So basically, she on like a video in the room. How many meetings has she actually shown up to?
At least 3, but she's been involved in 5, 6, 7, 8, and the other accounts. But physically coming into the district and being in the role, that's the commitment in the contract, that she will come into Benton Harbor and physically meet with us at least 3 times during the year.
No, I'm not talking about number 1. I'm talking about number 2. Number 2 is the ongoing communication and support. So that's only 3 times?
So ongoing communication is also communication via email. So there's a lot of communication back and forth where she's trying to collect data. So she may reach out and say, last year, for example, she sent an email and she needed like 10 data points. So she was trying to find out information on, for example, even though we know our data is not clean and input well, processes were off last year, it's still going into the system whenever we're there. She can't pull that out on her own. So then she has to ask us, can somebody give me data specific to attendance? Somebody give me data specific to discipline referrals? I need somebody to send me the data when we did our walkthroughs. I need access to that file. So it's that, it's not just a Google Hangout where we're visually, that visual piece is more the data analysis. The ongoing communication is where she's acquired the information, she's creating charts, she's assimilating it, and she's coming back and making suggestions and recommendations from the data that tells us and her about the progress and the work that's being done within the district.
So how much per email So it's 5,000. What's the breakdown like? So she sends you an email. So does she charge like by every reply or every email response? Does she make an appearance? Because I mean, 5,000, that's a lot.
I don't have the answer to that.
Okay.
Any other questions? Ms. Seeks?
Joseph Taylor,
Yes.
Stephen Mitchell,
No.
Lisa Gully,
No.
Marletta Seats, no. Angelica McGowan,
Yes.
Martha Momini,
Yes.
Margaret Gass.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Staff report number 6 carries. Staff report number 8, contract approval for behavioral health services.
Thank you. Okay, so reason for board consideration, one of the district's partnership agreement and improvement plan goals focuses on improving the school culture climate and addresses the need for additional student supports, particularly in the area of behavioral health services. In October 2016, Benton Harbor received a safety and gang prevention grant allowing the purchase of counseling services. Recommended action that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to approve the professional services agreement for behavioral health services with the Marion Mental Health Services.
Thank you. May I have a motion for the approval of staff report number 8?
I move that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to approve the professional services agreement for behavioral health services with the Marion Mental Health Service.
Thank you. Motion by Angelica McGowan. May I have a support?
Support.
Supported by Martha Momini. Questions, comments, concerns regarding staff report number 8? Ms. Seeds?
Margaret Gass,
Yes.
Martha Momini,
Yes.
Angelica McGowan,
Yes.
Marletta Seach, yes. Lisa Gully,
Yes.
Stephen Mitchell, Joseph Taylor.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Staff report number 8 passes. Department updates. We'll start with you, Mr. Leonard, facilities and operations.
Thank you. Just this evening, there's a number of pieces of information that are provided to you, the update report. We're going to go through every one. If you have specific questions, after we give you a couple of topical overviews, please don't hesitate to ask. We'd like to give you additional information. Some of the higher level items that I want to make sure are drawn to your attention this evening is in relation to the gang prevention and safety grant. The facility modifications cost estimate for the gang prevention and safety grant were approved by the state of Michigan. GM Architecture and Engineering is going to be developing the required RFPs and develop project timelines for specified projects during September or during this month, 2017. One thing you may have noticed during your review is that there are no funds specified for video surveillance. After reviewing the grant specified categories, it was identified that video surveillance repairs may be funded through sinking funds, while access control enhancements are not fully eligible for sinking fund usage. This being identified, the district reallocated funds from the video surveillance line item to the access control enhancements line item, funded additional student support staffing, and after receiving approval from the state of Michigan, added an additional facility, specifically Discovery Enrichment Center, that was not included in the original grant specifications to accommodate programmatic changes that occurred within the district. So just kind of a caveat to that. The field house repairs and updates, so what's going on with that. Pearson Construction has been scheduled to replace and paint the damaged plywood sheeting on the south side of the field house. That's actually in process as we speak. I know we had discussed previously that the original plan was to reside the field house and replace the glass in the windows. The estimate that was received for this work was approximately $40,000. As no other proposals were received and this exceeds the district's limits for securing services without a formal RFP process, it was decided to move forward with replacing the damaged plywood and paint the damaged side of the field house at this point in time. If the district decides to proceed with siding work, the current efforts will support that work and not result in any duplication of efforts. Then, in regards to some general things going on behind the scenes, as the weather starts changing, the temperature starts dropping. During the completion of last year's required annual CSV1s, you may not be aware of this, those inspections are required annually. The Facilities and Operations Department contracted with BHAS Heating and Air Conditioning to go ahead and perform corrective measures on the district's boilers and heating systems as problems were identified during the scheduled inspections. This resulted in a reduction in cost of the district for repair work as corrective services were performed at the same time as the inspections after being reviewed and approved by the Facilities and Operations Department. This was done in preparation for 2017-2018 heating season. During this last month, CSM maintenance staff has cleaned and prepared the boilers for the required Michigan State inspections. And during this next month, the Facilities and Operations Department has contracted with BHAS Heating and Air Conditioning to re-inspect and finalize preparations for startup. This also provides an opportunity for the new CSM, HVAC, and plumbing staff to become prepared and acclimated to the systems and their operation in preparation for this upcoming heating system. If at that point in time we discover any additional repairs that need to be done, to prevent us from an effective startup, then we'll be attending to those as we go. So those are some of the, I guess, say, top items. Of the other things on the list, is there anything particular for additional information?
Any questions from the board? We'll start with Ms. Seats and then Ms. Gass.
Thank you. So part of what you're saying is this is winter preparation for our facilities. And you said there's boilers. And so what is the status, what you're finding out what the status of these boilers are? And there is monies available if there are issues with these boilers for repairs or replacements.
Correct.
And that's through the sinking fund, or you saying through a grant?
The same group. And we actually started that a year ago. The idea that we shifted to in our maintenance protocols is that during shutdown, when we actually should be preparing for the next heating system almost a year in advance. So we're trying to be a step ahead instead of a step behind our responsibilities.
And our boiler systems in decent shape?
As far as I'm aware, at this point in time, we'll be doing another inspection for sure to validate that and make sure.
Ms. Gass.
We're gonna have heat in the high school library.
I would believe so.
Mr. Mitchell.
Yeah, let's go back to the safe and security grant.
Yes.
What was the total allocation for that part of the grant?
The facility modification cost estimates, we click on that link to open up the document specifies by line item. Oh, no, I see that, that's actually zeroed out. I'm sorry, that's not actually.
Well, to my recollection, there's a $2 million grant, $1 million went towards the educational half.
And then it was modified to make it $800,000 based on some of the other needs for the students and the counseling fees they were. So it was reduced by $200,000.
So it's 800,000. And based upon what I'm seeing here, that amounts, what you have now is 550,000, which leaves over about $300,000 left.
That's without the allocation of the visitor management platforms, the door markings, emergency supply kits, and emergency protocol printing, which are all required. Those are optional line items down the bottom, so that pulls in that additional amount. Comes up just short of $800,000 exactly.
And it says option if additional funds are available. Why would they not be available if they're still looking at $300,000?
At the time we put this information here together, we were trying to establish what was going to be the best allocation of those funds.
Well, that's not answering the question.
I'm sorry, can you repeat?
That is not answering the question. What do you plan to do with the other $300,000?
The additional optional pieces, I'm not hearing the question correctly. In answer to your question, there's an additional $300,000. The additional cost would be applied to those line items that are identified as option if additional funds available. And based on the decisions that were made on the expenditures or the planned expenditures, that funding is still available. We're at that process in decision-making process of where all the funds will need to go.
So I'm looking at $554,000 for two items: access control and a phone system and PA at each building. Is that correct?
Which are you looking at?
Hull, high school, MLK, ACA. The only thing that has funding attached to it is access control and the phone and PA systems. Now, a little background, I don't know who developed this allocation of what, but access control, that seems to me it is electronically keeping people out until they're buzzed in, which they already had on many of our buildings. We just put in a phone and PA system less than 10 years ago. The problem with that was that the people on the phones were not trained, nor did they want to answer the phones. So I can't see why we have to spend $50,000 on phone and PA systems when the people operating need to be in service and put in place to answer what we have. But this is an informational item that will come back to us for a vote at a later date, is that correct? For that amount of money?
Do we have we done the RFPs?
No, the RFPs wouldn't come before for a vote, but the actual,
I mean, the actual
results of
expenditure of votes.
Yeah.
How, so, yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So following your questions, Mr. yes. So when, now that we've determined where the most critical areas of need are, of course, there's not enough money to address all the areas of need. These estimates that Mr. Leonard has provided, we will do our MPs and we'll get actual dollar amounts, right? And then if there are funds that are available, maybe the estimates are over estimates or whatever, then that's when, we kind of go back and look at this, we determine what those things are that need to be done next. We'll make those decisions around the this should be money, just depends on what's available. But, or if we can do more work with video or surveillance to offset using the city. So yes, those are RFPs and we're now in the process of to get bids on what these things will cost to make these upgrades and changes.
Last question is on the field house. We discussed this back in July, late June and July, about refurbishing that building. And I was under the impression that that was going to be done before the football season started. Now I hear that we're just going to paint some plywood boards and leave the rest looking as it is, which is totally unacceptable. I had a conversation with the superintendent about that early on in the summer. She indicated that that would be taken care of. So once again, there's a project that someone determined was not viable to do, even though the dollars were there to do it. And, it just doesn't look right to the taxpayers, and it doesn't look right to visitors coming to our facility. I really don't appreciate it.
Any other questions? So are we, I know I see that fall school, we're gonna do some work on the bathrooms. Are we gonna do any work on the bathrooms at MLK? Okay. Because we need work there. And to Mr. Mitchell's point, I think we have to make sure we do our due diligence, right, and honor the taxpayers' money, because we're working with two sinking funds, but this is part of the SAFE grant. And I thought too, the SAFE grant, Dr. Walker, that we were gonna have people sitting at the doors, right, before you get into the schools, right? And they were gonna take information and things like that. So is that still in the works?
That's happening. So if you go to each school, there is a staff person that's paid for the grant that does, find out whether they're visitor pass, et cetera. So that is in place as a part of that access control.
Any other questions from the board? Thank you, Mr. Leonard. Mrs. Lovelace, technology.
I've just put together some quick thoughts that we've had. It's hard to catch our brains these days. Do you want to wait? I was going to use my teacher voice.
So the technology department, first few weeks of school is a little crazy, extremely busy. These are just some of the projects that are continuing to finish up through all our summer work. If you have any questions, we're happy to detail about it. The new technology was a big hit. I think I've heard a lot of positive comments from the teachers that they feel like having a new device within a bag and everything makes them not only feel appreciated, but something that they feel that can support them doing their jobs.
And I love being able to support the teachers that way. So thank you for approving all of that. I think it's been very well taken. We're working on a new lab at ACA. That's a change that we continue to work on. Mr. Leonard and I work very closely together on a couple of these projects because they require some facilities work and some technology work. And we're gearing up for NWEA. We'll start here at the end of this week. So we're working on those files coming out of the student information system. So we're working on that. And we're also finishing installing the new access points to have complete coverage in all of our buildings so that every classroom will have an access point, which will support one-to-one technology use within the entire district.
Any questions from the board for technology? I do have a question. What about Dream Academy? Are we getting that school in line with?
You can just a smile tell it.
Yes.
Yes, we are, and we're pretty happy. They're pretty happy. Actually, both Ms. Morris and Mr. James were in our office this afternoon, and they have a complete hardwired lab for their use, for their entire building to use. They also have Chromebook carts that were delivered and in place before the first day of school. So they are up to pace with some of that. We're going to work on replacing their access points in that building because they are old. And based on from the time frame from when we decided that Dream was going to be part of Benton Harbor Schools and the E-rate calendar, I put that right on the E-rate calendar as quick as I could to bid out. And that was approved, and that work will be done as soon as it goes through all of those E-rate steps before I can bring CCAN in to put more APs in that building. But they'll be all set.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're very welcome.
Okay, staff report number 9. So Mrs. Mommy.
Okay, and just a reminder that these items that we're working on now are ones that the majority of them we had a timeline of September 27th.
There you go. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so these are all tied into a timeline for our partnership agreement. Staff report number 9, subject adoption of consent agreement, partnership agreement, superintendent goals. Reason for board consideration: it is necessary for the Board of Education to adopt the partnership agreement goals as the superintendent's performance goals, in addition to the fiscal goals in the consent agreement. Facts and analysis: the Board of Education, through adoption of the partnership agreement, must approve and adopt superintendent goals per the partnership and consent agreements. Recommended action: that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to approve and adopt the superintendent's goals outlined in the partnership and consent agreements.
Thank you. May I have a motion for the approval of staff report number 9?
So moved.
Moved by Angelica McGowan. May I have a support?
Support.
Supported by Ms. Gass. Questions? Ms. Seeks?
Margaret Gass,
Yes.
Martha Momney,
Yes.
Angelica McGowan,
Yes.
Marletta Seach, yes. Joseph Taylor.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Staff report number 9 passes. Staff report number 10, Board of Education evaluation process.
Okay. This is another one that's required. And you will find the documentation, and thank you to Ms. West, because when we call and ask stupid questions, she just laughs and gives us the right answer. Couldn't find all this stuff on here, but so I'll just read this quickly. This is the board evaluation process. MASB school board self-evaluation will be used. The board self-evaluations will be completed in January and June throughout the partnership agreement timeline. The evaluations will be held during open board sessions. Scoring will be averaged to determine strengths and weaknesses. A facilitator will be used if funds and a facilitator are available, and evaluation results will be posted on the district's website.
Thank you.
Okay, and now we're going to read the staff report now. Oh, that's easy for me to read it here. Thank you. Formalize, publish, and implement a research-based Board of Education evaluation process. Reason for board consideration, necessary per the partnership agreement. Facts and analysis, the Board of Education, through adoption of the partnership agreement, must formalize, publish, and implement a research-based Board of Education evaluation process. Recommended action that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to formalize, publish, and implement the MASB School Board Self-Evaluation.
Thank you. May I have a motion for the approval of staff report number 10?
So moved.
Moved by, excuse me, Ms. McGowan. May I have a second?
Second.
Supported by Ms. Gass. Any questions? Ms. Seats?
Joseph Taylor,
Yes.
Marletta Seats, yes. Angelica McGowan,
Yes.
Martha Momini,
Yes.
Margaret Gass.
Yes.
Motion
Staff report number 10 passes.
And then there's the superintendent's evaluation process, and it's the same procedure, except that she does have a choice to have it done in closed session if she likes. Other than that, it's the same rules. So subject, establish, publish, and implement a research-based superintendent evaluation process. Reason for board consideration, necessary for a partnership agreement. Fact and analysis, the Board of Education, through adoption of the partnership agreement, must formalize, publish, and implement a research-based superintendent evaluation process. The MASB tool was adopted by the school board and used in the 2016-2017 school year. Recommended action that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to formalize, publish, and implement the MASB superintendent evaluation tool for the 17-18 school year.
May I have a motion for the approval of staff report number 11?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. McGowan. May I have support?
Support.
Supported by Ms. Gass. Any questions? Ms. Seats?
Margaret Gass,
Yes.
Martha Momini,
Yes.
Angelica McGowan,
Yes.
Marletta Seats, yes. Joseph Taylor.
Yes. Staff report number 11 passes. Staff report number 12.
Okay. And this is the final draft of the professional development plan for the Board of Education. Board of Education Professional Development Plan, reason for consideration, necessary for the partnership agreement. The Board of Education, through adoption of the partnership agreement, must approve, adopt a professional development plan. Recommended action that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to approve the final draft of the professional development plan.
Thank you. May I have a motion for the approval of staff report number 12?
So moved.
Moved by Angelica McGowan. May I have a second?
Second.
Supported by Ms. Gass. Questions? Ms. Seats?
Joseph Taylor,
Yes.
Marletta Seats, yes. Angelica McGowan,
Yes.
Martha Momini.
Yes.
Margaret Gass.
Yes.
Staff report number 12 passes. Staff report number 13.
I hope this isn't unlucky finishing the meeting with a number 13 staff report. Oh, come on there. All right. Okay, subject, create and approve the timeline for new and updated Neola policies. Reason for board consideration, it is necessary for the partnership agreement to create a timeline for the Board of Education to approve all new and updated Neola policies. Facts and analysis, the Board of Education, through adoption of the partnership agreement, must approve a timeline to approve and adopt all new and updated Neola policies. Neola sends out new and updated policies twice a year in the fall and in the spring. Recommended action that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to approve the timeline for all new and updated Neola policies within 60 days from the time they are received by the board.
Thank you. May I have a motion for the approval of staff report number 13?
So moved.
Moved by Angelica McGowan. May I have a second?
Second.
supported by Ms. Gass. Questions? Ms. Seats?
Margaret Gass,
Yes.
Martha Momini,
Yes.
Angelica McGowan,
Yes.
Marlell Seats, yes. Joseph Tate.
Yes.
Okay,
Staff report number 13 passes. Ms.
okay,
Monk.
just so we know that we're fulfilling everything. All of those items that we just approved need to be published. They will appear on the website. The Neola policies may not be back in time enough for the deadline on site, so that if we need to, Dr. Markovich said that she would copy the working copies that we worked on and voted on, and would send those to Dr. Teasley if needed, if we don't have it on our website by the deadline.
Okay.
We do want to do a quick review of what our professional development plan is. We have three priorities. We're going to be working on community engagement and advocacy, board superintendent relations, and leadership. This too will also be published on the website, so that anybody who wants to look at it will have access to all of this information. There you go, Dr. Teasley.
All right, thank you. Dr. Walker.
Yes, thank you. Excuse me, so, and going tomorrow to Lansing, we're having partnership agreement, district or school committee meeting with the state superintendent and some others regarding the updates, changes, next steps. So I'll inform you all, know how already be meeting, so I'll and ask us to bring our team. So Ms. Robinson and the Excel team will all be going to Lansing for an hour, the state superintendent and others tomorrow. Also, as we work through again our processes that we put in place for the start of this year, registering versus enrolling. And already had a better use power school, just some hiccups, but right now I'm reading, I say that cautiously, but I would be interested. And we're looking at about 2,300 students that have enrolled in Benton Harbor for last week, but I think I reported about 2,188. So again, that's very unofficial. Just what's in the system. And as you know, I still continue to not trust the system. But it's all we have. And so based on that, that's the data that the system is telling us. And then lastly, I just wanted to tie back to the start of this school year and encourage the board and people to come and to visit the schools with proper purpose, obviously, to see the significant changes. I will say, they feel, they look, they sound like schools. And you go into the classrooms and we're not perfect, we have a lot of work to do, but we're doing the work. We have a lot of really good solid plans in place, but we are seeing evidence of the changes that have been put into effect in last year. We're seeing evidence that the data that I shared last week about those changes has taken root with our staff. If you talk to the teachers, their morale is extremely high compared to when I came. And I'm not saying that's everyone, but it's enough to be noticeable. And so I think that's really good news for our children, because what you're seeing are those positive approaches, that awareness that we got, that training basis, and mental health. We're beginning to think through really helping them or supporting them differently going into this year. We're not perfect. We'll have errors and mistakes, but it was a large difference as we continue to improve. And I stand on the belief still that we'll see a change in our academic data as we continue the changes. So just want to say kudos to the staff, to the students, to the parents. I believe in our kids. They are so capable and they are responding to the change in the structures because the kids want structure and the teachers are just being basic. So just kudos to the district at large. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Gass.
No comments this evening.
Okay. Mrs. Momini.
Yes, our first public participant tonight, I mentioned Elaine Quintera and the work that she did. And I just want to go back to questions last week, because what I was trying to get across that I was wondering if our teachers were training was some of the stuff that she indicated could be used, such as when a child's having a meltdown, getting on their level and using shorter sentences, Or when you're giving instructions to students, have them repeat them back, or say this is important because, just little tips and tricks that I hope is being incorporated into their professional development. It's not their mental health. We're giving them ways to organize their life. And I hope our teachers are getting some feedback and some ideas on how to do that. Because I did agree with our first speaker tonight. And then Sunday was a little sad for First Presbyterian Church, which is across the street from Morton. As we drove to church, we knew it was coming, but the for sale sign was up. And it kind of hits you in the gut because that church has been involved with Morton for decades. But we know it's coming. It's just, you gotta face reality now. And that's it.
Ms. Seeds?
Thank you. Didn't get a chance to acknowledge some former teachers that I did see in the audience tonight. But should have done that a little earlier. I see Ms. Peterman and also another teacher. Ms. Gully, or Trustee Gully, had asked a question about one of our contractors. And again, I would like to see that we monitor contract performance. When it looks like that someone's making $250, $300 an hour, and there's no rationale for what they did, or there's no measurement of what they did for a particular hour, and the statement was made, I think we need to look at those performances so we make sure that our objectives are met, because we have blanket grants, and when you equate some of the grants to the amount of time spent, it's a lot of money that you could measure per hour. And I did reiterate the fact that all programs should be evidence-based, whether they're internal or external, and that those curriculums need to have a research base on those programs before we just approve programs based on whatever rationale. I do have a question. Dream Academy scores, are they rolled into the scores that we looked at last week for our scorecard? They are, in my hearing. Okay, they're rolled in, and we just brought Dream Academy on, but now Dream Academy is not included in the MHSAA. As far as they're not allowed to participate, as far as the sports are concerned, okay, if I'm correct, but their scores impact school scores that we're looking at. So can they be separate? Is it mandated that Dream Academy scores are rolled into our high school scores? That's the question. And also, I believe early part of when I came on the board, there was a request that we have a opportunity to know where our superintendent, like she's going to be in Lansing tomorrow. Is there something that we can look online? Is it a Google Calendar, or is it anything like that? Thank you.
All right, so I just want to thank everybody for coming. I know everybody left, and sometimes our meetings get extended. And the public just needs to be made aware that based on our partnership too, we've taken committees that were separate from the meetings and brought committees to the meeting. So that's going to extend our meetings as well, right? So, but I just thank everyone for their patience. Also, when you look at the scores that came out from our testing, I wouldn't put too much into that if I was the public or the school, because this is a 2-year run, right? We're on our 2nd year. And not only that, Rome was not built into it in a day, right? So our scores are not going to change overnight. We saw some uptick, and so that's great, but nothing's going to happen overnight. I mean, I think it's crazy to think that. But I think that this year we should see real data, right? Based on what we put in place from last year. So with that being said, is there any other business tonight? And so I would just say, Dr. Walker, that's a good point that Secretary Seats said. Can we get a calendar as a board just so we can keep up with everything that you have to do, your schedule? Would that be the board to request this, a calendar?
So would you want it in the group memo?
It could be in the memo.
That would be fine.
What do you, so you want the whole calendar covered, or you want it just on board out of town?
What is the request of the board? I mean,
It's an extensive calendar.
Day to day.
Well, I was gonna say Susan could let us know on a weekly basis.
Well, I'm going to answer, I'm saying, what do we ask?
what is it? I mean, do you want the entire calendar? That way we know at least,
But they're confidential meetings and things, so we probably say, you have to think through how do we give you what you need and not risk confidentiality. I have to be mindful.
right, I think maybe you just say, I'm gonna weigh in Lansing or
That's what I'm
something,
saying.
yeah,
So is that
without
just-
stating who you're gonna visit sometimes, right? If it's a confidential meeting. Yes, ma'am.
Clarification, just, I'm so tired. Confidential meeting. So there are meetings that you as a superintendent that have, that the board is not privy to.
The identity of people in the seats. that they
Oh,
make
the
sure it's not
identity
going
of
to
the
be
people that,
Identified, yeah, I don't know
oh, okay,
that, but I'm
not
just-
the meeting itself. It's the content or the individuals attending the meeting.
Individual that may not want to know they met with me, and I don't.
Oh, no, I don't
That's why-
think
that's why
nobody
I'm
would
asking for
expect. I
clarification,
don't think
because on my
nobody would.
calendar, I have to identify the who and the what and when and where, so.
If it's just
it's
a
really
meeting, it's a
about
meeting.
understanding when I am going to Lansing. And that's why I'm asking for clarification, what is it that we miss, what do they need
How
to
about when and where?
Okay.
Not who, if that's an issue.
We okay with that, the when and the where?
I don't know how to even separate that out, that's a whole task, I mean.
Google Calendar set up so that you can see free and busy information or all the details.
So would that work?
Does the Google Calendar work? So we,
But it does, what does it show you?
It show, you can give rights to show free and busy or the details.
and you can give the board rights to the calendar where we can look at it.
We get free and busy.
You can get free and busy, so
We
you'll
would
see
get
when
free
she's
and
free,
busy.
when she's busy, but you won't know what she's busy doing. She'll be a meeting, or where she's at, you won't see that.
What is the?
There are confidential meetings you would have that the board,
There are people who have a right to confidentiality that choose to meet with you, yes.
Mr. Taylor doesn't want us to know he's giving us $1 million.
No. So what's the desire of the board? Is it the when, the who's, or is it just a Google Calendar?
I mean,
What is-
even if it's like today, Tuesday, I toured such and such facility. If it's something, I think that's a particular, so that, I understand that you're doing whatever. You understand? So you tour, okay, how do I? Okay, so on Mondays, it's meetings all day, might be meetings. Tuesdays might be facility tours with a certain individual. And Wednesdays might be a dedicated day for certain things. Or you might just be in meetings.
So every morning, from 8 until noon, I'm in the school, and it's already been identified.
Okay, so that
And I'm
8 till
meeting
noon.
with the principal
Okay.
during that meeting. From noon until roughly 4, I'm at least in a meeting with either one of the department leaders or a
That's good to
bi-weekly,
know.
or some of the board members. I have people that I meet with on a weekly or bi-weekly basis around the world to catch up or update. And then that does not include anybody else that's trying to meet with me, which is continuing.
That's a day-to-day
This is
consistent
every-
schedule.
So Dr. Walker, this is just a suggestion for me. At work, like I give my boss access to my Google Calendar. So all of this week, I'm in training at Hilltop. So they know I'm away at training at Hilltop. So, I mean, I think that would be easy if we just had the Google Calendar. We know that when you're in a meeting or whatever, I think that's simple.
And it has all the information on its own website. So again, back to confidentiality. That's what I'm asking. It's not separated like that. So how do I do that without, I'm not opposed.
Or can Susan just give us a calendar without the names on it?
What I want, all I can say is that it's so extensive, she can have up to 10 meetings a day. And are you wanting each individual meeting? Are you just wanting to say this day she's in meetings from this time to this time? I mean, it could take me all day just to get you a week's worth of her calendar.
Can maybe Ms. Lovelace work with you guys to make it easier?
I mean, she's saying it's one or the other.
Yeah.
So will the Google Calendar be okay?
Let's try it and see if it gives us the information we want.
And then we can come back after that.
So it's for your busy.
Yeah, for your busy.
Yeah, let's see if we can work out something.
Can you add out of town? I mean, that would allow us to know that she's not.
Just put it in the weekly memo again at the calendar that you have.
Yeah.
I think we can do
If
both.
it's out of town, that's what I'm trying to understand. What is the look for? What is the need to know that I can make sure? Is it when I'm gone? Is it what I'm doing all day, every day? What is the need to know? And then I can better understand how to get that information. So usually when I go to Lansing, I'll tell you guys in the memo that I was sick, because you know, and I didn't take care about this. But I'm going.
Because you do have vacation days. So if there are vacation days, yeah, there are vacation days, like whatever. I just think it's just knowing respectfully, you know.
So that's why, again, I used to read the memo to inform you if I'm out of the district 99% of the time. That's why I'm trying to know about tomorrow.
Well, no, I mean, it's just, but you have to state what you want, right? So if it's a thorough calendar, we have to state that. And the thorough calendar just means you're added to her Google Calendar on the day-to-day. So, as I said, my boss knows my whereabouts. If I gotta go fly out to Texas, it's right in front of his face. He can check. So that's up to the board. Is it partial or is it full?
I'm okay with doing the free and busy and see if that fulfills our needs. And if it doesn't fulfill our needs, and we feel like we need more, then we'll probably have to have further discussion.
Is everybody okay with that? We start with the partial to see if it's working out, and in a couple of weeks, we come back to see if that's not enough. Is that okay with the board?
I'm okay. We shall
We
be.
got two people.
I have sort of a hybrid
Okay.
desire to know more than free and busy, sort of along the lines, so, you know, when I had a boss, my boss had access. I understand the confidentiality issue. So what I would suggest is that you work with the tech department and come back to us with a proposal to see something more than free and busy.
All right, I like that one too. All right. Okay, so be resolved that the Ben Harbor Area Schools Board of Education meeting be adjourned. May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Martha Momedy, supported by Ms. McGowan.
Joseph Taylor,
Yes.
Marletta Seats, yes. Angelica McGowan,
Yes.
Martha Momedy,
Yes.
Margaret Gabb,
Yes.
motion carries.
Meeting adjourned at 8:36.